About a year ago, I left Salida, Colorado, the place where I had been an exchange student for a year in high school. And I know that right now, a bunch of people are anxiously awaiting August and their turn to embark on this amazing adventure. So I wanted to take this time to give you guys some advice on being an exchange student that I learned during my year and hopefully better your own experience. So here we go! If you're a procrastinator like me, you will probably put off packing till the last second. Don't do this. At least pack a week in advance and make a list of all the things you want to bring, because there's nothing worse than being on the opposite end of the world and realizing that you forgot your favorite teddy bear. Also, try to restrain yourself from bringing your entire wardrobe. I know that a year seems like a really long time, and I myself was really nervous about only bringing one suitcase, but there's a reason why they only allow that. It's because you will buy more things. I ended up buying so many new things that I had to bring my second suitcase home. I bought one in Walmart and brought it home with me. You will probably do the same. So don't worry, you will have plenty of clothes while you're there. Now this step might seem a bit weird, but as most people have their preferred taste in toothpaste, you can't really be sure that when you go abroad that they have your brand. And when you're in your first month or two away from everything and everything's foreign, it's really nice to have something that's like home. And normal tasting toothpaste is really undervalued. I'm not saying you should bring toothpaste for an entire year, that's a waste of space, but for the first month or two it will be really nice, and then you can kind of find out which toothpaste you can use over there once everything's settled a little bit. Another good thing to bring is candy. I took this creative writing class where once in a while we were allowed to bring snacks to class while we were writing, and I offered to bring some Danish chocolate, M&Ms to be specific, because apparently they don't taste the same in America. Crazy. Needless to say, my popularity went up in that class, both with my peers and my teachers. I did the same thing in another class, and in my arts class I showed my teacher how to braid little Christmas hearts, which is a Danish tradition. So if you want a good way to make friends, bring some candy or another easy way to share your culture with people. Everybody will appreciate it and you will learn something, and you can show them where you come from. Since you're in a new place, nobody will know you. And that might be a terrifying thought, but fear not, it will not be that for long. Well, Melina, how do I make friends? You may ask yourself. Well, imaginary future exchange student, I will tell you. The best way to make friends is just to put yourself out there. See, what I did was on the first day or so at lunchtime, I scoped out the cafeteria for a group of people that I thought looked interesting and like we would have something in common. Then I went up to their table, said, "Hey, can I sit here?" And they said, "Sure you can." Then I sat down and I never left. Those people were literally my lunch group and became my best friends for the rest of the year. I still keep in touch with them even a year after I left, and they mean so much to me. I used this strategy several times during the year and it never once backfired because most people are really nice. I should mention though that the first group of people that I walked up to were some people that I had met at the drama club auditions the day before, and I'm sure that didn't hurt. Which also brings me to my next topic. If you're unsure of where to meet people, I can only recommend the drama club. I have been involved in theater for quite some time now, and the friendliness of drama people seems to be an international thing. If you're looking for some quirky, fun, outgoing friends who are always up for something fun, the drama club is a great place to start. Not to mention that being in plays will really help your language skills as well as public speaking skills. And there's always a very strong sense of community in drama clubs. Of course, if acting really isn't your thing, then any club at all will do. I will definitely recommend getting into a club. Just be aware that clubs like sports can really take up a lot of your time. In the US, it's normally every day after school, but of course, if that's where your friends are, then go for it, you will have a lot of fun. I was technically a sophomore in my high school, but since I took junior advisory, junior and senior classes, and most of my friends were seniors, nobody really knew which grade I was in. This came in handy a lot since there were some privileges that juniors and seniors had at my school that sophomores didn't, mainly leaving the school campus during lunch. So since most of my friends were seniors, they would always leave, and I couldn't technically But the thing is, when you're an exchange student, sometimes you can bend the rules just a little bit. So since nobody really knew what grade I was in, one day I just left with my senior friends for lunch, came back, the principal held the door open for me, didn't say a word, and I just continued to do that for the rest of the year. The thing to remember when you do this is when you bend the rules just a little bit, don't bend them too much, meaning don't be late if you leave campus, don't get in trouble. Getting in trouble is something you don't want to do, so if they catch you and they're like, hey, you're not a senior, you can just play the oh, I didn't know card, and then of course don't do it again in the future. But unless you've been specifically told so, you can probably get away with experiencing a bit more, since that's what you're here for. I'm sure you've been told this many times before, but I'm gonna say it again. Say yes to every opportunity that comes to your way. Except for drugs. Drugs are bad, kids. This came true for me on my very first day of school. I knew I wanted to join the drama club, and I was told that auditions for this semester's play was that afternoon, which meant me getting up in front of 30 or so kids that I didn't know, doing a cold reading in a language that wasn't my own. Sounds kind of terrifying, right? I'm not gonna lie, it was. But I don't regret it for a second. It was the way that I made a lot of friends, put myself out there. And also, if I hadn't done that, I couldn't have joined the drama club till the next semester, and I would have missed out on a lot of friends and a lot of fun. So even though some of the opportunities might push your limits a little bit, as long as it's not making you too uncomfortable, say yes and try a lot of things. That is really what going on exchange is all about. Taking chances, learning new people, experiences new things. For example, I got into a lot of new music that I'd never listened before, and went to a lot of concerts. I even learned how to shoot a gun, things that I wouldn't have done if I had just stayed in my own country within my own comfort zone. So really say yes to everything that comes your way so you can get the most fun-filled year possibly. No matter how much fun you have, you will be homesick, especially around Christmas. Don't worry, it's gonna pass and it won't stay for long. The way I dealt with this was crying, talking about it, distracting myself, and then eventually moving on. If you need to cry, do it. It will be a lot easier to get it away from yourself if you just let out your feelings. If this happens during school time, I would advise talking to the teachers about it. Teachers are really nice and they will understand and they will appreciate you explaining why you might be a bit off doing that lesson, so they know that you're not just lacking. Also, if you really need to, ask if you can excuse yourself to go to the bathroom, let it out, come back in, continue with your day. If you're still feeling sad after school, I would advise telling your friends about it. Walk up to them and be like, hey, so I'm feeling a little down, a little homesick. Tell them how you're feeling, what made you feel this way, then ask them to distract you. Again, talking about it, they will appreciate it. They will know that you're not feeling down because of something they did, and there's a reason behind it. And any friend I've ever had, and any person I've ever met, if you ask them to help you get your thoughts of something, they will do it. So if you follow these steps, you will soon be fine again and know that it will pass. Also, try to refrain yourself from calling your family. I know it seems really tempting when you're missing them, but it won't do anything good. You'll just be crying on the phone and they'll be feeling really bad because they can't help you. So instead, go do something fun with your friends, and then once it's a little bit away and you've calmed down, then you can call them and say hey, and maybe have a better conversation with them. I found it really useful to have this small notebook in my purse at any time. So whenever I had a thought or like a moment that I really wanted to remember, I could write it down. This might seem kind of useless in the moment, but trust me, those little snapshots into your thoughts and your daily life are worth gold when you come back home. In hindsight, I wished I would have written down more because I didn't use it that much, but for what I did use it, I really appreciate now because it kind of takes me back to that moment. Also, collecting small things like ticket stubs or maybe postcards from places you've been are a really great thing. You can tape it into your notebook and you'll have this sort of scrapbook thing to look at when you get back home, and it will really take you back to the moment and help you experience it all over again. This kind of ties in with the former one. Always have something that you can take pictures with. Most people have smartphones nowadays, which is a really great thing, because that means you can take pictures whenever you're on the go. Things like selfies with friends or buildings or places you've been shouldn't be underrated when you're an exchange student. Trust me, take those selfies, capture that sunset, everything. Don't be afraid to look like a self-absorbed kid with a camera, because when you get back home, you will appreciate it so much. Speaking of cell phones, another thing you can do before you leave is to research cell phone plans. I personally had a lot of trouble with my cell phone when I first got there. I got a SIM card from my organization which didn't work, by no fault of theirs. It was the supplier of the SIM card, not my organization. Some people will advise you to get a track phone or a prepaid phone. I say don't. Unless you're used to having a budget for which you can text for, it will just be a hassle. You really don't realize how many texts you send until suddenly you can't send any more. And it always happens in inconvenient times. For example, for me it happened when I was talking to my host family about when I had to get home from something and I couldn't call them. That's just not a situation you want to be in. So I say research the cell phone plans you can find, preferably like a month-to-month plan so you don't run into the problem of running out because you texted for too much. If you go to the US, I know Walmart has some really reasonable things. I personally got one with unlimited texting, calling, and data for about 40 bucks from Walmart. Of course, if that's too expensive, they have plans all the way down to like 15, 20 bucks, which really isn't that much. But if you can't swing it, I would recommend some kind of data plan, because being able to text your family from Facebook really comes in handy during the year. This one's kind of a given, but it's good to remember. A year goes by really, really fast. Even though you land in August, you're like, oh, 10 months! This is gonna take forever. It really isn't. All of a sudden, it's May and you're about to say goodbye. So just remember to have fun, explore the world, take chances, and just enjoy yourself while you're in it. Don't think too much about the future, just think about now. For me, it was truly the best year ever, and I learned so much about myself and other people and who I want to be in this world, and I'm sure you will too. So just have fun, best of luck. If you found my advice useful, please leave a thumbs up. And if you have any other questions at all, it could be anything from the anxiety of saying goodbye to your family in the airport to questions about prom, how you feel when you return back home, don't hesitate to leave me a comment down below or send me an email at melina.simonson@gmail.com. The link will be in description so you can spell that correctly. Subscribe if you want to see any future vlogs I do. I may do another video and exchange experiences depending on how many questions I get from people and what thoughts pop into my head. But I will be trying to do some vlogging things in the future, so subscribe if you want to see that. Also share with any future exchange students you may know that would find these tips helpful so they can get my advice as well. Alright, bye!